Okay, so first today I'll give an introduction of ODI and then see the architectural components. Okay, so before start of ODI, so we'll go and see the history of ODI. Okay, ODI is not a new tool; it was there okay since many years in the form of a different way. So that I'll go to later. But before going to start of ODI, okay, we need to get some architectural differences. Okay, and then we'll go to ODI. So when you are working on ETL, okay, generally to read data from OLTP systems, load into staging, and from staging to data warehousing, and data warehousing to data model. Everybody who works in a ETL space has to undergo all these phases: source to staging, source to staging, staging to warehouse, warehouse to data model. Whatever tool you use, we have to do all these things. And the only thing is to move data from one place to other place, source to staging, and staging to warehouse, warehouse to data mart. So you have to develop logics in your ETL tools. During this phase, okay, you can choose any type of ETL tool, okay, but depends on the data processing style of the softwares, okay. So these tools can be classified into two. One is called ETL tool, okay, that extract and other side we have ELT. Okay, so if you understand the differences, then things will be easy because this will be very first question, discussion point, okay, to make you understand. So what are the common ETL tools? Okay, Informatica means tools works in a ETL style. Informatica, data stage. So these are the top tools in the market now. And from open source category, Talend and then Pentaho. And you can also keep Ab Initio. And if you go for other SAS Studio, a lot of other things are there, you can just ignore them. And in this category, so there's only one tool, Oracle Data Integrator. If anybody feeling bad about Microsoft lovers, for them it is SSH from Microsoft. Okay, so first we'll see what is the difference, then we'll get into that. So ETL and ELT, okay, the name itself, ETL means extract, transform and load, and ELT means extract, load, transform. Okay, so I'm taking a simple scenario, then I'll go to it. Say for example, I have a database, okay, assume that it is ORCL database, in that this outside is one database, outliner, and this is your schema. Okay, you can have a number of schemas. Schema is nothing but a user in a database. And I have two tables, employee table and then one target table, employee. So two tables I have in one schema. And I want to develop a logic, okay, to read data from this particular table and to load into this particular table. Okay, now if you are developing a logic, okay, I don't mind how you develop a logic, but we are worried about how the logic will be executed. In terms of that, first I am going to show in a ETL style of mapping development or a code development means you are developing a logic in Informatica or data stage or BODS or Ab Initio or anything. Okay, once you develop a code and then when you execute, how the code will be executed. Okay, so you are supposed to read. So here this is your database and this is a table and this data has to go to this particular target table. That is my requirement. For that, I have a server, Informatica server. So first of all, this is your database. Okay, and now to install Informatica server, okay, I should have a separate server. This is a different server altogether. Informatica server. I have purchased one big hardware server and then installed Informatica or a data set, means not to any one of the software. And I developed a program and then running a program here. So when you run a program, the program will be executed on this server because you developed a program here you are executing. If any ETL style of program, how they run, always the data will be extracted from your source, means from where your data has to be extracted to your ETL server. So this is your ETL engine or Informatica server, data stage engine. So always data will be extracted from the source database to your ETL server. This is the ETL server. Then you apply any logics here, whatever logics you want to apply, then this data will get loaded to this particular table. Always data is going, bypassing from the ETL server. So this is a different server, hardware server, and this is a different hardware server. It is Oracle database and this is a Informatica server, and software Informatica is running over here. Now I want to read data from here and then load here, and then in this case data will be extracted from this to here, apply any logic and then load into this target. This is what happened. Actually speaking, there are two problems. In this example, if I ask you, you know Oracle, and if I give you access to this database and then ask you to take data from here to here, what you will do? You can write a simple select statement, insert into EMP underscore T, select star from EMP. If I do that, it is a very simplest way to take data from here to here, because that I can do. But if you are developing any logic here, okay, even though both tables are in the same database and I can move from here to here, ETL style of development will not do this. Okay, always it will take data from here to here and then take data from here to here, okay, and then load here. What are the problems here? You are taking data. So two things. One is data processing in outside database is always slow compared to the database. It is very clear. Because the databases are specially designed for data processing only, because the life is only data processing. That's why the databases data processing is very, very faster compared to any other. Okay. So here, but in this case, you are doing the data processing on a different engine, which is an Informatica or a data stage. So that is anyway slower here. Second, since if it is a simple one mapping and one table and then another table loading fine. But if you are running 2000 mappings or 2000 programs at a time, so there will be lot of load on here at a time. Okay. And we need unless you have a big server here, okay, the data processing will not be done easily. Couple of challenges, okay. So in older days, okay, this used to be run very well, but nowadays it is not doing that great actually because of this. Okay, so couple of challenges, okay, but if at all, if I do, so as like just now we know that the best way to do this, because to move from here to here, okay, I can write a SQL from here to here, okay. So generally, when you are doing data processing in the database itself, okay, that approach is called ELT. So this kind of approach is called ETL because you are extracting the data and then you are transforming the data in a outside world, where in outside server, Informatica or a data stage or anything, and then loading back to your data into your table. So always data will go outside. Even though I can move from here to here, things will not go from here to here. Okay, now, if at all, if I am using, so I don't mind which tool it is, but if it is a ELT approach, okay, so I will develop the code the way how I am developing here. Code designing, code development will not be any big difference here. So here also I will develop a code logic. So this is your same database, same table from here to here. And here this time I have a different software, okay, which is the ODI, which works on a ELT style. Okay, previous software works on a ETL style. So this works on a ELT style. So whatever program I developed here, in the same way I will develop a program here. What program? I want to read data from employee table, load into target table. Okay. So once you develop a program and when you run the program here, in this case, ELT tools generally meant for processing data on the database itself. The ELT means in the bracket always in mind, keep that data processing in database, not outside. In a simple way you want to understand. Okay. So for that matter, ODI will, in this case, ODI is the example. Okay. So ODI, this code, whatever you have written, will recognize that these both tables are in same database and same schema. Okay. So to move data from this table to this table, I can simply write one SQL, because data processing in the database means what? SQL. There is no way you can process the data without it. Or if you have a Oracle database, you can write SQL because they does the data processing. Or you can use SQL loader, okay? Or you can use import export. Example, these are the data processing things. So it can use any data processing commands of that particular database, whatever it is specific to the database. Okay. So in this case, it will simply generate one SQL. Okay. So that SQL insert into EMPT, select star from EMPT. Whatever we thought will be the best option previously. Okay. So now what ODI will do now in this case, when you run the program in ODI, it will generate the SQL first, because it will understand your current environment here. For that, how easily I can move from here to here using SQLs, it will generate those SQLs. After generating this SQL, it will go and fire those SQLs on the database. So when I execute this SQL on the database, data will be moving from here to here directly. There will not be a single record will coming to ODI. It will move from, if I go and fire this SQL on the database, data will go from there itself, from here to there. Means the query will be fired, the process will be fired on the database itself, okay? And where ODI will have to do very lightweight activity here. What the ODI does here, it will generate the SQLs, it will throw those SQLs on the database, and then it will keep watching when it is executed and whether there is any failure or not. So it is just doing a monitoring, execution. It will send a request and then it will monitor, and then once it is completed, it will give a status that it is completed. So, but the processing is now being done on the database. Okay, and what is the advantage here is, processing on the database is always faster than the outside world. That is the advantage. Second, since I am not doing any activity on the ODI server, so you can manage ODI server with a very low end. And even sometimes we don't need. I can use the database server as a, that's why nowadays most of the times ODI admin will be sitting under DBAs, because mostly it is more closely associated nowadays with the database DBAs only, because we will install ODI software and we will run ODI engines on the databases only. Okay, and we are not, I am not required to buy any additional server. I am not required to do any additional management and administration, okay, in ODI. So whatever big data database is there, okay, and I will install ODI software in that server only. I don't need to have a separate server. So maybe looking at the developer level, you may not, you will get only big difference from the developer point of view. What is the difference? Your processing is faster, because that is what a developer required. But from the bigger point, big picture point of view, it will save like almost 50 to 60% of the cost of your order, because in Informatica I need to buy a very big server. If I am running 200, 300 jobs, okay, I need to have a separate dedicated server, hardware cost will be very high. Okay, and then install Informatica on that, processing will be done there. But here you already have a data warehousing database. It is all because without database you cannot manage the data warehousing file. So you already have a data warehousing database. You already have the tables. Okay, so we will install ODI on the database itself. And ODI software will be running only 90%. Of course, if you want to install outside, we can install, but not required. But some special cases we can install. So if you ask me technically, always we'll install ODI on the database itself means not. Sometimes we'll install outside also, but mostly the best place to install ODI is on the database only. That is the reason. If you go and ask Oracle, Oracle will give you Oracle Exadata database, and they will ask you to install ODI on Exadata. So that will run 30 to 40% faster than any other ETL tool, even compared with Informatica and all. But the only thing is we have a limited knowledge. You have to use ODI very effectively and properly. Okay, and it has some teething problems. Maybe over a period of time it will get generally cleared up. So this is the main difference. Okay, ETL here. So now maybe most of the people still may be under confusion because 1-2 boxes is moving. So now you get some clarity now. Okay, in this example. So because it's very basic 0-level example. So now it is with the understandable scenario. So previously I was taking data from one table to table and all this fine. But now in this scenario, have a table, employee table in a database. This is the Oracle database. Okay, and then I have a department information in a file. So department employee data 14 here and some department's data in a file. I want to join these two tables. Of course, one file and table, and then load into one target table. So again, this is a database. If you are using ETL style of software, Informatica data stage or anything, I will develop a code here. Okay, you will develop a program here. So when you develop a program, what is going to happen? I cannot directly join EMP DBT because both are different. One is a file and one is a table. Okay, so that's why what Informatica or ETL kind of software does. First, they will extract data from the database. Okay, it will extract the employee data from the database and then brings to Informatica server. So the data will get transferred from the database to Informatica server or a data stage server, ETL server. Then it will pick up the data from a file and then the file data will get transferred to your ETL server. Once the data comes from database and from file to Informatica server, okay, so the data will become Informatica data. That's why if you know Informatica source qualifier is for that purpose. Informatica source qualifier will convert all the native data types to Informatica specific. Okay, so once the data comes from the database and from file to Informatica server, so it will lose the behavior of the file and database. It will have a mask of Informatica because both are in now Informatica server. So then Informatica will join these two tables, okay, two inputs, whatever you got, and then output it will throw to the target. Okay, so this is what ETL style of architecture means. You are extracting the data to your Informatica means ETL server, and you are transforming the data here and then loading to database. ETL means extracting, transforming and loading. ETL approach. Don't get into the architecture of the data warehousing. Means we are talking about the ETL approach softwares. Okay, extract and transform. After extraction, we are transforming and then we are loading. To take Informatica data stage, Ab initio, SSIS, all works in the same way. Okay, but the same example, if I do in a ELT, how it works. So previously, if you see our example, I am directly taking and then putting some SQL and then loading. But can we do the same thing here? Now, ETL, ELT, we can't, because this is a table and this is a file. I cannot directly do this. Okay. In case the same scenario, if you are in ODI, if you are using ODI, ELT approach, what it does, so this is your table, employee table, and this is a department file, and both I need to join load into this particular target table. So in this case, what has to be done? You develop a program. You will not be seeing any difference. I want to read these two inputs and then join and then load. That is the develop. You will program. You will develop in ODI or Informatica, because program development point of view, there are not much differences. Okay, same thing. But when you run this program, what ODI will understand? Okay, it will go and understand that this is the table, but this is the file. But I cannot join both. So that's why what it will do. It will take first to wherever the data has to be loaded. Okay, this is the target database, and here it has to be loaded. In the target database, okay, it will identify one schema. Not ODI, generally we will give that. Okay, a place where your data processing has to be done. Nothing but a temporary area or a schema, anything, some dummy schema, dummy user. Okay, so this box, whatever I have here, this is your actual original database. In this, and this is your actual target table where you want to load. And in this database, I have identified one user or one schema for keeping some all junk, whatever temporary purpose, whatever I need. So forget about what we do. We'll learn in ODI tool. But in target data warehousing database, wherever I want to load, in that I'm using one temporary schema, one dummy schema. I'll just tell ODI that, so use this schema for your R&D purpose or just dummy purpose. Now what ODI does, since I cannot join them directly, it will take data from this particular table, no matter in which database it is. It will take this data and then dump this data into one table on your data warehousing database. You don't need to worry about the creation of this table. You don't need to worry about how to load. Everything will be taken care by ODI. How it will be taken care, we'll be learning in the next session. So here ODI will take the data and dumps onto your temporary tables, okay, where you have asked to create. Creation of the table will be done by ODI only. Loading of data from here to also will be done by ODI only. Then it will also take data from this particular file and dumps onto another temporary table. Again it is a table here. Where here it is. And then it will dump data from the department file to this particular table. Once the data dumped in, so now this has been moved here and this has been moved here. So now you have employee data and department data, both are in a table here, where in a temporary place. I don't care about where it is actually, but in one temporary place. Once the data loaded here and once the data loaded here, since both are in same database and then in the form of tables, and this data, these two data I want to join and load into this target table. So now, okay, ODI will go and create one simple SQL statement. So now, whatever data you need to join and load into target, all are in database tables only. EMP underscore DPT is a target table. $EMP is one table and $DP is another table. If I want to join and then load into target, one simple select statement. Insert into EMP DPT, select start from $EMP, comma $DPT, where $EMP dot DPT number equal to $DP dot DPT number, a single SQL. And if I find this SQL here, it will take the data from here and then it will load into this particular target table. Okay, a single SQL. Again, where the SQL is getting fed on the database only. We are not even bringing single record from year to year to ODI. Everything is going from year to year only. Okay. So this approach is called ELT. Why it is ELT? We are not transforming after extraction. We are loading first, extracting and loading. Loading means dumping. It is not final target. First, we are extracting and loading to temporary tables, then transform and then do whatever you want. After transformation, whether you are loading or what you are doing, it doesn't matter. But here the approach is ELT means you are extracting and loading into temporary tables, temporary area, and then loading into target. So here I've given a very detailed, but sometimes, okay, if you think about this, when you are reading data from file and loading into this temporary table, don't always think that always I need to move from year to year. Let's say it depends on what are the databases you have here. ODI is going to use the powerful features of that particular database. Since it is going to use all database commands only, so it will use, let's say for example, if I have a Teradata table here, if this database is a Teradata, ODI will generate a Teradata powerful utility. Let's say fast load, mload. Any utility of Teradata, it will use to load to make the things very faster. If it is the Oracle table, really, if it is, okay, this is the file, and then if I want to create, if it is in Oracle, I really don't need to load data, move from year to year. In Oracle, you have a concept called external table. External table means keeping the data in a file here itself, I can feel like a table in a database. Okay, so I'm just giving an example, not only moving the data, because just to explain a given, but it will go an advanced level for in order to use the best command to move the data or whatever processing you want to do, you have options to choose. Whether, let's say in this example, if I want to read data from this file, one is I can read this data from a file and then load into this table, okay, using normal insert statements, or I can use a SQL loader option, or I can use a external table option. If it is a Teradata, I can use, okay, load utilities, anything. Okay, it is not only moving, you can also have the options to choose what kind of feature you want to use to move data. Okay, that all you can do, select in a program development. Okay, so the overall here it is ELT means first we are loading and then transforming. Okay, and after transformation again, if you are confused, you can keep one more L here. Generally, it is not required. It is understood. Okay, or extract, load, and then transform. After transformation, we are leaving because it is understood that further you will be loaded or put something. Okay, so this is the big difference from the ETL and then ELT. So what is the advantage? Your data, since all the processing on the database side only, so your ODI will be lightweight. I don't need big hardware for ODI. Okay, and it has a lot of reusable code. You don't need, it will use the powerful features of the database. Say in future Oracle comes with a very advanced new feature, so that will be available in your next version of ODI. So you can use that actually. You don't need to do, but other tools, your processing will be done if you Informatica code not using that feature or not, even it cannot directly use that feature because all the logics are implemented in the ETL server only. So unless they write a new program in Informatica, I cannot use here or in a data state. Okay, so because of all these reasons, and ODI is very powerful. Okay, and even nowadays all the ETL tools, not 100%, but 30-40%, okay, they are providing ELT kind of features in Informatica and data stage. We have some concept called push down optimization in Informatica. Push down optimization of Informatica will ensure that your mappings in Informatica will run in a ELT approach. But that is not 100%, okay, to some extent, 30-40%. But ODI is the first tool which is developed, okay, to run in a complete ELT nature only. Okay, So this is what ETL ELT.